So in this video, we're going to look at finding percentages of values. So let's say we look at an example. Let's say we were told to find 15% of 60, right? Now, if we're told to find 15% of 60, what we'll need to do is we'll need to figure out what 15% actually means. And if we go back to a few other videos and even other concepts, we look at the 15% as a fraction can be written as 15 out of 100. It also can be written as a decimal as 0.15. Alright, and this is what we'll use to find that value and find out what 15% of 60 is. So what I'll do is, I'll actually take the decimal value and I will use that to multiply. So what I'll do is I'll write down 60 times 0.15. So ignore the leading 0. And now, looking at multiplying decimals, just the same thing as multiplying integers. Well, we'll go through and go 5 times 0, which is 0, and 5 times 6 is 30. Okay, and we go down the bottom, we add that space of 0. 1 times 0 is 0, and 1 times 6 is 6. And now we go down and add our numbers, so we get 900. Right? And we look at our decimal, we can see the top number has no decimals, but the bottom number has 2 values to the right. So that means our decimal place would have 2 values to the right. So therefore, our solution is 9. 15% of 60 is 9. Alright? Now let's look at another example. Let's say we're again told to find 23.2% of 70. Alright? So again, we go back and write down what 23.2% means. Well, we know that 23.2% means 23.2 out of 100. It also means 0.232. And I'll use this to now find out what that value is. So I can write down 0.232 times 70. Alright? And if we go through and solve, we can find the top. So 0 times 2 is 0, 0 times 3 is 0, and 0 times 2 is 0. Alright? So now we're looking at solving the second part. So 7 times 2 is 4, we carry the 1. 7 times 3 is 21, plus 1 is 22. So you put 2 and carry the 1. 7 times 2 is 14, plus 2 is 16. Right, and now we go through and we add it. So we know we get 16,240. We look at our decimal places. So we look down the bottom, we've got no decimal place. But down the top, we've got 1, 2, and 3 values to the right. So our decimal point, we need to have 3 values on the right down the bottom. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and we put our decimal point there. So therefore, our answer is 16.24. I'll ignore that following 0. All right? And that's how we find percentages of a value. Now, let's just say, we've got the idea of this, but let's just say you were told 5 is 20% of what number? Now, if you went through and just found what 20% of 5 is and said that was your answer, well, that is actually incorrect, because we're trying to find what that value is where we get 5 once we calculate that 20%. So when we calculate that value, when we multiply that value by 20%, we get 5 as our answer. And over here, we'll have to start using a bit of algebra. Now, I know most of you guys will be surprised, going, oh, when do we have to start using algebra over here? Well, we'll have to use algebra. So let's just say A, I want to use the letter A, is the number. All right, so the number, or the initial number, or original number, we'll be using. Okay? So then we say, well, we're going to find what 20% of A is, and that should equal 5. Now this looks very familiar to what we've just done previously. So we know that 20%, okay, is equal to 20 over 100, which is equal to 0.2, and we can forget that following 0 after the decimal point. Alright, and then we go through and solve. So I'm going to have 0.2 times a, which equals 5, and I can rewrite this as 0.2a equals 5. And now we just go through some standard algebra. We have to get rid of this coefficient of 0.2, so we divide this side by 0.2. And since we've divided the left-hand side by 0.2, we do the exact same to the right-hand side. So now we've got 5 over 0.2. And now we're going to find out what 5 over 0.2 is, or what 5 divided by 0.2 is. So I'll write it down over here. 0.2 over 5. Now what I could do is, I could actually move this decimal point across here, and I'll move point there. So that means I could rewrite this as 2 over 50. Now whatever I get as an answer for 50 divided by 2, sorry, whatever I get as an answer for 50 divided by 2, it will be the exact same for 5 divided by 0.2. It will be the exact same solution. It's because I moved both those decimal places once. So I've got that 0 here, so move that decimal point there. So whatever I get over here will be exactly the same. So let's go through our division process. Well, 2 goes into 5 twice, and we can go through, well, 2 times 2 is 4. Alright, so 5 minus 4 is 1, and we drop down our 0. Alright, now 2 goes into 10 5 times. 5 times 2 is 10, and we find there's no remainder. So therefore, our solution is 25. And that will be the exact answer we're looking for over here. So therefore, A, we can replace it with 25. So 20% of 25 equals 5. And we can actually go through and double check if you want to go through that process. If you want to find out what 25 times 0.2 is. Alright, so we can go 0, carry the 1, or 10. So 2 times 5 is 10. Put a 0 down the bottom, carry the 1. And then 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 50. Alright, and since that we've got 1 decimal point to the right, we put 1 decimal point there. So therefore, our answer is 5, which is what we got when we went back.